All right, so Brawlhalla released the post BCX slash end of the year balance patch. Allegedly, there's going to be another balance patch before, I guess, the next winter championship. But before we get into it, if you haven't already, I'm trying to hit 100K before the end of the year, so make sure you subscribe. Thank you. Let's get into the tier list. As a reminder, the way I do this, in general, I don't have them ordered aside from the top 3, 5, or 10 is normally how I do it. All the other ones, I might have a little piece of text with like the tier list, right? You'll see A, and then you'll see hard to work with, which we'll get right into it. Great Sword for the 2v2 tier list is at the absolute bottom. You could talk about how the aerials are pretty good, but that doesn't make up for the fact that out of all the weapons on here, it's just super hard to work with. It's forever going to be at the bottom unless they give it every single true combo in the book, but they just shouldn't do that. If they do that, I'm quitting. I'm getting a new job, and you'll never see me again. Then there's a step up. I labeled this as the Just Go Play Ones category. Scythe, Katars, you can make them work, especially with Spear, but literally, there is absolutely no reason to ever bring these into 2v2s, especially with how good people have gotten. I just find it hard to justify playing either of these. So stick to 1v1s, go play your Mordex in the rank queue. In A tier, here's where it starts to get pretty solid. You're not going to normally see these too often, at least with the current meta. A patch or so ago, blasters were incredible. Now they're still good, but it can be very hard to make them work. Orb, hammer, I think they're good, but again, it's just once you get into the next tier, they kind of get outshined, and you just don't really see these three weapons play that much. S tier, none of these should be a surprise why they're here. I will mention gauntlets got bumped down. I think the nerfs did them kind of dirty. In 2s, you could still run double gaunts. I think, though, it's not necessarily about gauntlets right now. It's about the gauntlet legends. Wu Shang, Tezka, Zariel. Look at the signatures and or stats that these characters have. That's what makes them insane. They don't even need the gauntlets. Then in my top 3, from 3rd going to 1st, we have Cannon, Battle Boots, and then Axe at first place. I think Cannon is a master's dream. You just press all the buttons on it, and it's just super smooth. Recovery frames don't mean nothing on this weapon. I would generally say the movement, it's like a better lance in some ways. Can feel super, super nice to play. It's not very committal in a lot of areas, like I was saying. Moving on to Battle Boots, you can do D-Light Reverse Sair. That's an insane combo starter. Pretty much anything you do on this weapon can be a combo starter. It's also just super fast. It can be tricky to work with, especially if someone hits a D-Light Sair, they can hold it and do the drill version and get away from you kind of and take the opponent off stage. Or you could just mix it up, do D-Light Recovery, you could do D-Light there, you could just throw out a side light and try and catch people in the center of the stage because it hits everywhere, and then combo with your teammate. And oh yeah, you're playing Tezka or Red Raptor probably. So I know that's Legends, but still, it's just bonkers. Axe is an absolute clown fiesta. I said that there was probably going to be another balance patch, and I am praying that they actually nerf this weapon, because it is hilarious to me that they didn't touch this thing at all. You can do End-Light, Side-Light, Nair, and then you can obviously DI at that point if you hit another Nair. But the DI angles are so bad. If you DI up, the people are just going to keep doing Nairs, so you can't go up. But if you go, say, the opponent who hit the second Nair is on the left, and their teammate's just going to do another Nair, you're going to go right into that anyways and get hit by it still. So it's like you have to play this game where really there's weird ways you have to move around it, and I think it's just very mindless to kind of play it. Could that be some possible salt? Maybe. I just think getting 30 damage off of 2 hits alone and the consistency off of the setups and combos that you can get, right? A very easy one to do is End-Light, Side-Light Nair, Recovery. And it's super hard to interrupt that. You have to be really on your P's and Q's if you want to punish that. Otherwise, you're probably going to get clipped by the recovery, and your teammate who's stuck in the combo is going to go flying to the moon. All right, same thing. All of it is unordered aside from the top 10, starting at the bottom in D tier. I labeled this, you are actively being selfish, because all of these characters, you're going to play Mako, you're going to be the guy to make Mako work in 2v2s and win with it. My fault. Hey, you do you, dude, but just know you are totally being selfish. There is zero reason to touch these guys. Again, as people get better, I think it just gets clearer and clearer what kind of legend should be played. And the ones with low defense, the ones with string kind of weapons, it just doesn't make sense. And if they have even one of those is a bad thing, but some of these have 2 of them combined, and that's terrible. Up a tier, simply put, Magyar. He would have been in D tier, but he has 9 defense as a base, and I actually think that's kind of nice. Hammer also is okay. And for whatever reason, if your teammate hits something and you hit a Greatsword Ensig and they're like in orange, especially with some of these maps like Brawlhaven, you're going to be killing them extremely early because that Sig is actually pretty nuclear. In B tier, not going to say too much. I think they can have their moments, right? They're not a Magyar, but they're not really deserving of going much higher. It's kind of clear that they're going to probably lack somewhere. Maybe Thea's the one that you could argue can get moved up, or even Lucian, but some of the other ones are kind of a tough sell because I do think they all have pretty big flaws. A tier, not too much to say. Caspian can hit pretty hard. I actually think he is not utilized that much. And Ragnar too. I think Ragnar's actually pretty strong, but you just don't see him play that often. So a lot of these characters, I think they do have strengths, but they don't have the representation to necessarily let them shine. If they did, maybe they would look better. But until that happens, you can't really put them in S tier. Okay, so in S tier, there's 2 different categories, starting with kind of the baseline ones, right? The general S tier category. Loki and Queen Eye are probably a surprise here. Maybe even Azoth. Loki is just broken because I think he is an absolute nuisance to fight. His Qatar kit is so good, it's just disgustingly broken. Same with the Scythe kit, it's just annoying to fight. I don't think he's like a phenomenal 2v2 legend as far as like weapon combination goes, but when you add the signatures to it, it's just kind of overwhelming and he's really, really annoying to fight. Queen Eye has a high defense, has really hard-hitting Sigs, and Spear is actually very good. Fiend even made this character work. I'm pretty sure Fiend and Sack, they got 5th at BCX with Kaya and Queen Eye. Fiend was looking pretty disgusting on this character. Azoth will be the other one that I mentioned. He did get a bit of a buff. You can do D-Light Ensig, and now that's like more consistent, I think. He feels weird. I think you have to play him a little bit differently than how a lot of people are playing in general 4-2s, right? A lot of it is much faster gameplay. Azoth, not saying he can't play fast, but his Sigs are super slow. They do linger, and they do hit very hard, so that helps him a lot. Also, the axe bow combination is crazy. Bumping up, this is the same tier, still S tier, but I just wanted to kind of have these guys stick out. You might notice they all have Sword. I think Sword is in a fantastic spot right now. I think, though, that these guys in particular might shine pretty hard. They'll have the high highs. I don't want to say they have the low lows, but it's like, once you start fighting characters that are in the top 10, or at least my top 10, you might notice that they can kind of struggle in certain areas. Jala before was in my top 10. For the rest of them, I think it's like, dude, if you're a super skilled user, go ahead. You have that level 100 Koji, might as well try and rock it. Once you start, you know, feeling like, oh, he's a little slow, he doesn't have the super high defense, his Sigs aren't feeling great for this, then yeah, it's probably because you're fighting something in the top 10. Now, my top 10, starting from 10th, going to 1st, we have Red Raptor, Kaya, Brynn, Rayman, Tezka, Wushong, Zariel, Ulgrim, Onyx, and Taros. So when you look at it, there's a pretty good mix between gauntlets and axe, and then kind of like a step below, you have bow and battle boots, and then a little bit of spear as well. Wushong's signatures didn't get hit at all in the patch. By design, he's crazy. Tezka, again, by design is crazy. Taros, dude. Okay, so I've been playing 2s a lot, and something I've been seeing is people, admittedly, yeah, they're pretty good people. I fight people, and they play double Taros, and I'm doing the most insane combos with my teammate, right? Bonaire, I catch them with Gauntlet in there, I throw them down, you know, follow up, recovery, I'm Saring, right? It's like, oh, dude, that was sick. How much damage did we get? We got like 50 out of 5 moves? Cool. We fight Taros, you get hit by 1 end light, side light, nair, recovery. I mean, dude, you might as well jump off the stage because your stock is just, they hit any Sig at that point, you're dead. He's just not a fair legend. His stats are good. He is like the exception, I guess you can say, when it comes to Hammer. If you're wanting to play Hammer, he is disgusting for it because he does so much damage per single hit that he gets. It's wild. Onyx, it's just high defense. You can have above average speed. The Sigs are great. Cannon is also Cannon, as I talked about. Just kind of mash everywhere. You can just run in and wreak havoc with the character. It's pretty nice. The other 2 that I'll talk about are Brynn. I think the signatures hit super hard, especially like Spear and Sig and Spear's side Sig. And as a 2s combination for the weapons, it's really good on the character. Red Raptor as well. The signatures are super good. Orb, I think, can be kind of and I don't think the lower defense is necessarily great, but his signatures, like all the new characters, are still, in my opinion, kind of overtuned. All right, the 1v1 tier list, starting at the bottom, we have B tier, because admittedly, I don't think anything is that garbage in 1v1s, right? You can pretty much play anything, but we have blasters and we have Lance. Shouldn't be a shocker. They took some confirms away from Lance, allegedly. I don't play Lance like at all, but from what I've seen on Twitter, maybe it's propaganda. I doubt it. I probably should believe them because these guys have like, I think it was like S-Scrape. That guy's like a level 1000 Orion or something. You hit Sidelight Nair on Lance. You can't do recovery. You can't do Sair anymore. Yeah, I think that's what it takes away. Same thing with blasters, by the way. You get like a blaster Enlight, and then if you have their dodge, you can do a Nair. And I don't know, because they did buff Nair, I don't know if you can start a juggle somewhat, but you might just be getting Enlight, Nair, okay, you're done. You get one move for a dodge, and it seems to be the same thing for Lance now. A tier, I put Hammer and I put Gauntlets. I think if you're going to be playing either of these, you need high strength, and you need, especially on Gauntlets, signatures that are crazy. I actually do think Hammer really benefits from high dex, so if you're playing like Yumiko, she could be a character you're seeing in the future. I know Kaina's already been kind of dabbling. Gauntlets, though, they did get absolutely nuked in terms of follow-ups. They still feel good to play. I've been playing a lot of Petra, and just, you know, I play Gauntlets in both 1s and 2s, and my general consensus is that in 1s, the pressure that you can apply with them is still amazing. I think a character like Petra does make Gauntlets feel very nice just because the signatures are strong, and you could probably say the same thing about like Tezuka too. S tier, Sword, Orb, Spear, and Cannon. I've usually put Cannon maybe a little lower in the past. I just think you can throw out so many hitboxes with Cannon. It's super good. I'm not going to act like there's a lot of Cannon in 1v1s that I see placing right now. It is more of a 2v2 weapon, but I also think there's a bit of a stigma at this point, and you could probably do very well with Cannon. You just don't see too many people trying it right now. Spear got nerfed a little. The Spear nerfs were pretty much a joke though, so don't let that distract you. It's still an insane weapon. You can't do Sair into Enlight anymore, falling Sair Enlight. It's not a true combo, but even missing that, I think the weapon is basically played the same. You do a lot of nairs, you do a lot of recoveries. It's just a slightly bigger window that people can jump out of when you do like a sidelight. Orb is solid. Maybe it should have gone in my top 5. But for now, it's S tier. It's a great weapon. It feels good to use. And then Sword, kind of same thing. Then in the mystery category, the triple question mark, because I have no idea how to rate this weapon, is Greatsword. I've actually been starting to spend a lot of time on Greatsword because I have fun with it. It's the most different weapon in the game. I think we can kind of all agree on that. Use is 100% that guy on Greatsword, but also he's opening up a way to play Greatsword that a lot of Greatsword players aside from him aren't really aware of. And I'm not going to release all the secrets, but I've talked to him, and I think with Greatsword, the aerials are fantastic. If you catch a dodge, that's very nice, but maybe you shouldn't always be going for the dodge reads, okay? That's all I'll be saying, right? I've been playing it, dude, and it's 2024, basically. No one knows how to play it. It's disgusting. Then in the top 5, ordered, starting at 5th, bow, guitars, boots, scythe, and axe. Shocker, I put axe first in both 1v1s and 2v2s. Hit for hit, it is one of the hardest weapons to deal with. I've stopped using the term like heavy weapons and like light weapons or like slow and fast weapons because I don't think at this point that can apply to Brawlhalla that well. But axe is a weapon where you really need to just focus on getting one single hit at a time, and the string paths and combo paths that you can take are very straightforward and it hits super hard. Other notable ones, Katars, I feel like I haven't been seeing too many people play them, but I do think they are crazy good. And I'd like to have my placement here be kind of backed up because I think they're very, very good and people just haven't been playing them for whatever reason. I might be totally wrong about that, but I can't think aside from Acno and Impala in top 8 at BCX, they played Katars, but I don't think it went super well, at least for Impala when he was on Katars. Boots, just like I was talking about, use with Greatsword, kind of with Hammer. Maybe it's a Sandstorm diff on boots, but dude, even if it is a Sandstorm diff, I just remember watching this. I remember watching this weapon because this is the set I specifically remember. Blaze was on Hattori, Sandstorm was on Tezuka, and I know we're post that patch, and they did get nerfed, but that was the sidelight. That's all they did. It looked like there was nothing Blaze could do. If you know what button to press or what direction to face, you are like unstoppable with boots. And then finally, we have the 1v1 legend tier list. Even though I don't have the unordered part, just know that everything outside of the top 10, again, is unordered. And also, I decided to use a plus minus system, a plus, a minus, because I do think that all these legends are pretty close. The only ones that might clear are the top 10 and S tier, arguably. But with that being said, in A minus, I don't think any of these should be shockers. They're not even bad. It's just not much to say about them. Maybe there is something slightly flawed. You know, the legends are there. Maybe that's a bit of a surprise. Maybe it makes sense. Moving up into A, looking at it now, I probably would move a character like Vector or Arcadia, maybe even Onyx up. I mean, I kind of like these characters here. I just think when I rate characters low, I seriously do think underrepresentation plays into a huge part of their placement. Then in A+, the only one that might seem out of place with how I was kind of gassing him up in 2v2s, maybe Bodvar, but then specifically Azoth. Like I was talking, his SIGs are kind of slow, but they hit super hard, and I think he just is a kind of a different style that I'm not necessarily all that familiar with. Volkov also could be a super big sleeper, but I just hate Volkov's stats. But I did have a lot of fun when I think it was in Autumns, when Luna played it in Grands. It was a lot of fun seeing the Volkov pick. And I hope someone plays it in the future and proves me wrong, shows me that Volkov's like a top 10 character, because he is like, he's a very cool legend. Then in S tier, a character that I think I actually moved up was Thea. I think I undervalue how valuable her SIGs are in particular. And the stats aren't necessarily too crazy. But with that being said, the SIGs are just so quick. And also the Battle Boots Lance, she's a very good like rushdown character. And I still think you could play her almost like a Queen Nai, where you're ripping SIGs left and right. Another character that I moved up was Ragnar. Again, Katars are super good. Axe is in an incredible spot. And his SIGs do hit hard. My complaint before with Ragnar was the fact that he doesn't necessarily have a good way to set up into a kill. But I think with some of the buffs that he's gotten, like to his Axe D-Sig, I don't think that's a huge deal. Single hits on Axe, like I was talking about earlier, they can be very strong, especially late healths. Also, his SIGs off of like Katar Enlight into a N-Sig catches a few dodges, and even then, on Katar's looking for a single hit, that's not even a bad thing. Looking for a recovery, looking for a Sair. It's not the end of the world. I also did move Mirage down. When I look at it, do I regret the placement? We'll see. Let me know in the comments, because this top 10, I feel pretty good about it, but maybe I'm just totally off. Okay, in the top 10, starting from 10th, going to first, we have Caspian, Hezka, Petra, Kaya, Wushong, Rayman, Red Raptor, Jaehyun, Teros, and then Loki. Loki was not even attempted to be nerfed, dude. What they did to that character was blasphemy. He is still unreal. He doesn't have like a great setup for kill confirms. Who cares? His Katar kit, his Katar side sig in particular, even if you're like, oh, Phazon, but the other two SIGs on Katars are not even that great. Okay, dude, buzz off, because his Katar side sig is out of this, like, it's out of this planet. It's out of the Milky Way galaxy. That thing, you hit it, you just go for it, you end up in the air, you whiff it a mile away. Oh, that's fine, I'll just jump away. You know, you can't punish it. Oh, you tried to dodge behind me? Oh, don't worry, dude. It'll pick you up from behind, dude. And also, on his scythe, I'm pretty sure that you can get, like, Enlight into N-Sig as a confirm. Not that that's super crazy, but it does have active input. So if you do hit it and you're, like, at the end of the stage, you could throw someone like a Teros N-Sig completely off. Again, none of his SIGs I don't think have crazy force, but they do cover a lot, and both of the weapons individually are super nice. In the higher decks, he's got that Jiro Scythe deck, so he's gonna feel pretty good. He's gonna get that Sair. I'm pretty sure he's an amazing legend. Teros just got that meathead power. That's all I'm gonna say. Jaehyun, his sword's actually really strong. I like having a high strength sword without having low defense. Thatch, Sick Hit is actually pretty good. Great Sword's nasty. Red Raptor, Sick Hit again is nasty. Another new legend that BMG needs to fix. Orb also is good. Stats are great. Battle Boots as well. Little Battle Boots sidelight into D-Sig. What are you thinking, giving a Battle Boots character that? You already have Tezca. Why did we need a Tezca 2.0 with a sidelight into Sig? I don't want to say confirm, but it catches like several dodges depending on how you do it. Rayman is super solid. Wushang is super solid. Again, with these guys, even though gauntlets are kind of nerfed, and same with Petra, Tezca, and even Caspian, I think they all are pretty strong just because of their Sig kit. It makes up for a lot of their flaws. Then you just got Kaya kind of chilling there. Even if Spear is really bad at low decks now, I don't know how bad it is because I only play like Wushang, so like 6 decks around there. I was playing some Bryn today, actually. I was playing it at 4 decks. So I don't think there's really much you're missing out with Kaya. It might just feel slightly worse, but you still have the bow and Spear pairing. I think it's pretty solid. And then the Sigs are great, and then the stats are amazing. So of course, she's going to be keeping her spot in the top 10. All right, guys, well, that was the total Brawlhalla tier list. I don't know how long this patch is going to last, but I can assure you when they do make an update, including one with the new legend, or I really should just say the next balance pass, I will be coming out with a new one no matter what. I just figured, you know what, instead of waiting for another one or waiting for the new legend to come out, let's make one. I know you guys like it for whatever reason. I feel like I've kind of become the tier list guy. Maybe that is, I'm having a little bit of ego, but I'll just shut up. Let me know what you think. I think that Azoth could be a pretty cool guy. Jaehyun, he could be another cool guy. And every new legend that they release is just super broken. Actually nerf them, Blue Mammoth Games. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.